Today we're going to talk about mini excavators and their usefulness in making money, adding value, speeding things up on the job. This is a Bobcat E45 and it's my favorite class of excavator. The E50, the E55, the Takuchi TB260. This is it's big enough to do everything on this job, but small enough to get up and through tight places. So we're about 20 hours. Well, we're about 20 hours into excavator operation. And on this site, what I did was I started by carving out a big hole right here into this side so the dump truck could back in and we could take 5 truckloads of boulders without them rolling into the street. We then moved some of them into position right here where we've replaced a failed retaining wall. But this here, which I'll pause and talk about it a little bit, in Tiburon, where this job is happening, Tiburon, Marin County, they have all kinds of hassles around retaining walls. And first you need a permit, then you need a engineer to verify that the wall is stable. The entire thing is a huge hassle. Now, this is not a retaining wall. It is a rockery, and that's an important distinction in terms of there are no permits for rockeries. And having it at a bit of a beveled shape not only allows lots of interesting plants to grow out, but allows it to be defined as a rockery rather than a retaining wall. The main difference is it's not as steep. For you as an operator, the main difference is this can be built safely much faster. This is a couple of hours work with a machine, on a $7,000 line item. So it's a profitable, fast, safe permit skirting technique, the same being used over here. And so I like a 3 or a 4 foot bucket because I also, for example, took delivery on these aged wood fines just to get them up out of the narrow client's driveway without blocking it rapidly. And it was helpful when unloading the olives. They weigh about 400 pounds, with the 36-inch box. Good for grading, good for the decorative boulder placement. So we brought a lot of rock. Here we also took out a concrete patio, and then we're reinforcing a railroad tie retaining wall that has a heavy lean to it that's likely to fail in the next 10 years. And so what I like about dry stack boulders and stones is they're permanent fixes. Unlike wood retaining walls that fail, or concrete retaining walls that almost always crack, these can move around a little bit and depends on your client's values and requests. But in this case, this is mostly structural, and we're going to have some nice plants growing out. So it doesn't have to be built with the symmetry of a mortared wall. Simultaneously, all of our rubble gets thrown in as backfill behind, so we don't have to haul it off. And when I order dump truck loads of this stuff is labeled quarter ton, I get a lot of small rock in the mix. And so I I used all of that for these retaining walls. And you've got 3 or 4 days of man hours digging out a cut like this into a slope. The machine can do it in an hour and a half. Other reasons to value equipment is it doesn't get sick. I mean, yes, it gets down for repairs. It doesn't have car trouble. I mean, all the different times and ways that employees don't show up. This shows up. And it's worth, on a job that can utilize it, it's worth somewhere between 5 and 12 competent employees if you're a competent operator. So I started off pointing to excavator operators and how I wanted my soil graded on my jobs, and put this rock right here and then turn it like this. And at one point the operator just said, you've got to learn how to use these yourself, because you know what you want, and it's taking 2 people. You're standing around pointing, I'm trying to understand your mind. Just learn how to use this thing. And so it was one of the best decisions that I've made in terms of a competent skill, a good operator with a design eye, that knows, that has a good kinetic intelligence, can make hundreds, even thousands of dollars an hour if the work is bid on a value-based bid, where you're charging based on the value you provide and the number of man hours you replace. And there are relatively few operators that have a high aesthetic. So if you have a clear vision in your mind, and have good kinetic intelligence, then using one of these machines is terrific. I haven't owned one for a while. I used to own a Takeuchi 045, which was similar size, up in Washington State, where I did some land development. Down here, parking is difficult to park the machine, and a lot of jobs just aren't big enough to bring a machine on and really be useful. But this year I've had a couple of jobs in a row that all benefit from the machine. So I'm just closing on another used Takeuchi 260. And I like, the key things are the thumb for gripping, a large bucket so that you can grade with the bucket as well as move large volumes of fill soil and otherwise. These are good for stump removals, and and they're incredibly reliable. I mean, you can do nothing other than fill it up with diesel once every few days or once a week, and it just doesn't require that much maintenance.